Hey, this is homework 10, and you are expected to use your own dimensions in order to create this Canon system. Now, this is taken from internet, but I don't know what the source was. There was no link to the actual original source. But what I suggest is just eyeballing the dimensions here and making essentially five parts: the gun barrel, the axle, the wheel, and the frame and pivot. So there are many ways of doing this problem. This is the way I'm going to do that. Okay. And I use symmetry a lot. For example, this wheel that you see here, when I create it, then I mirror it so that there's another wheel on the other side. So it's not four wheels. Basically, it's one wheel mirrored. So that's going to give you one pair, etc. This is how my approach is going to be. All right, let's go. As far as the gun barrel goes, I'll make it first and I'll draw an eyeball of the cross section of this thing and then shaft it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this thing done. So starting with a product file, and immediately I'm going to save this thing. Let me call this thing, change the name of it to uh, Canon homework 10. All right, and say okay. Oh, wait a minute. Canon has only one N, I believe. Properties. Maybe it's two N, I'm not sure. Leave it like that. I think, yeah. Save it. File, save management, save as. I have a folder here. I'm going to put it in there. Let's insert the first part, which is a gun barrel. Gun barrel. Insert new part in there and rename this thing to be the gun barrel. That's the name. We'll call it barrel. Barrel. And barrel, that's the instance name. Double click. On a convenient plane, for example, that vertical plane, I will sketch something that resembles the cross section of that. And here's the way I'm going to, this may require some cleanup, so at some stage. So here's the way I'm going to do that. I've looked at it a few times, and I think this kind of dimension kind of takes care of it. And then I'll do the rest. So there's going to be a little bump here, which I'm going to make it with splines later on. There's going to be another bump there, which I'm going to make with the spline also. This is the end of the barrel. This is the end of the barrel. Okay, let's do a little bit of a cleanup here using the splines. 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. This is the end. Okay, and the front. Okay. Now I'll draw an axis system here so that we can just rotate it about that. So here's the axis system. It's supposed to be vertical. Right click. Horizontal. That's supposed to be horizontal. Exit. Shafted. You may have a problem at this end, but we'll find out. Yeah. Okay. So I think I'm pretty sure it's at that end. Cancel. Let's go back to that sketch. Delete this. Zero in or zoom in. Let's see if we can do a better job here, or I can do a better job. I don't particularly like this, but anyway, we'll see if this one works better. See that over here, there may be some issues. Yeah, you can see that. Good. Let's give it a try. Exit. Try to shaft it now. Yeah. Okay, so this is going to be kind of the gun barrel. Doesn't quite look like it, but that's fine. Okay. Now, let me change the color of this too. So right click properties. I'll make this thing that color. Okay. Now notice that the view from the front, it looks, the view from the side, it looks like that. Okay. But I would like to tilt it a little bit. Well, actually, maybe not. Just leave it the way it is. No problem. Okay, let's go all the way to the top. Click on the floppy. That saves everything. Now we do the frame next. So insert a new part in there. I'll call this thing frame. Where is that? Right click properties. This is the part name, frame. And this is frame. Okay. So here's the way I'm going to do that. Double click on it to go to part design. And for the frame, I'm going to use the profile. Yeah. On that vertical plane, which is, I guess, exit plane of the frame, I will sketch something like this. Maybe okay. Then on that side, finally I'll do maybe a spline from here to here. I'm not sure if that does it have 3 steps. Oh yeah, okay. So actually cancel that. Let's make another drop down here. And then a spline. Okay. This is where the pivot is going to go. Okay, and this is where one axis is going to go. And here's the other axle. Why don't we dimension this so that I have exactly the same size circle there on the other side? This is diameter. I'll make it diameter 0.9. Okay. I'll do another circle on this side, also 0.9. We'll see. Maybe I make this thing point 0.6. 0.6 here. Okay. All right, and a 0.6 there. All right, exit. Now, add this thing. Okay, it says there are some open section. Let's go back here. I can see already what the problem is down here, down there probably. Okay, so let's go ahead and use the sketch analysis. It shows us exactly which one is open. This is open, and can we close it? Okay, this is what closes it. All right, you see there were two dots here, and probably that made it open. Exit, add it. Yep, make it point 4. So it looks like. Yeah, that's good. Why don't we make this thing red? Graphics, color red. Okay. And what I'm going to do is I will translate this thing, go all the way to the top. You see what I want to do? Go all the way to the top. I'm going to translate this using the move, manipulate icon, translate in direction Y, like that. Okay. And then go back to the frame and mirror this thing with respect to that middle plane of the cannon so that the frame on the left side is also becoming embedded in this part. So we're going to go to frame, you're in frame, and mirror with respect to that middle plane on the other side. So now instead of making 2 frames, we have only 1, but both of these are in the same part. Could have done it differently. Okay, good, good. All the way to the top. Let's do the pivot first. So on a convenient plane, on that vertical plane, which happens to be XZ, no, not XZ, sorry, insert, first of all, insert a new part in there. Say no, call this thing pivot, right? The properties pivot. Here's the name. Here's the instance name. Say okay. Yeah, the cannon is definitely one end. Double click on that vertical plane. I will sketch. Actually, you know what? On this plane, on the plane of the frame, I will sketch. Why don't I project that circle? See what I'm going to do? And then we're going to pad this. Well, we have to exit it first. Exit the sketcher first. We're going to pad that sketch in the other direction up to a surface, that surface. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to mirror this thing on the other side. So we just use the mirror with respect to that middle plane of the cannon, and there we go. This is the pivot, and both of these are in the same part, the left side and the right side in the same part. Okay, good, good. All the way to the top. This isn't bothering me. I'm going to change that thing to one end. Canon is one end. Good. Okay. Now we're gonna do the wheel. So insert new part in there. Gonna call it the wheel. Right click properties. Wheel and wheel. Okay, let's make it. Double click on it. On a convenient plane, on that same plane that I had here, on that same frame front face, we'll sketch. Why don't I project that circle? Okay, and do the rest now. So exit, add it, that's fine. And on it, I will sketch. You see what I'm about to do. I'll draw a circle here, which is concentric with these two other circles. This control that, concentric. Okay, exit, make a pocket. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, ooh, the depth of it. The problem was the depth. Control Z. Let's go to that pocket. The depth of it, I don't want it to be that much. Depth, I'll make it 0.1. Yeah, that's better. Okay, and on this, I'm going to draw a hole. Okay, that's good. Size of it is not that critical. But the only thing is that this is going to be go all the way to the end, I suppose. Okay, and then we do a circular pattern here. This seems that it goes all the way. These four holes. Circular pattern. Okay, so complete crown. 4 of them. The reference element is, for example, that. And for the thing to pattern is just pocket or hole. There we are. All right, now while you're at it, we're going to reflect this thing to the other side. By reflect, I mean mirror it in the same part. So we're going to say mirror with respect to that vertical plane on the other side. Okay. Yep. Incidentally, yeah, that's fine. Now all the way to the top. Save everything. Now I can make the axle part of this part of the wheel too, but I'll do it differently because this is what I suggested here. Also, I'll do it differently. So insert, I could have made it out of part of this wheel system. So insert, new part, and I'm going to call this thing axle. Right click properties, axle. Axle and axle. Okay, let's make it. It's very simple. So on that plane, I will actually not on that plane. I will draw it on the exit plane. I will sketch exit plane of that axis system. I will project this circle. Oh, did I do that? I'm not sure I did. So let's try it again. Let me delete this. Okay, try it again. On that exit plane, I will sketch project that circle, the circle, okay, and exit. You can see it's down here. I'm going to pad it up to do mirror extend up to this plane, up to this plane. Well, if I do it like that, if I do it like this, then uh, yeah, that's fine. We'll have to mirror this thing anyway. So let me cancel this for a second. Let me cancel that. I'll tell you what my plan is. Add it up to this plane, okay, and then mirror it with respect to that. So mirror with respect to this, and say okay. All right, let's change the color of this thing. I'll make it green. Properties, graphics, greenish, greenish. Okay, good. All the way to the top. Save everything because we made all of 5 parts. Okay, good. Now, let's do the following. Because we have created the wheel and the axle, we can insert copies of that. And one way to do that is to go to insert existing components. One of them is it's not the right folder, it's this one. The Canon should be 1N, by the way. Insert the axle and insert existing component. The wheel. Okay, now they're sitting on top of each other. If you wonder what happened, they're actually in. You can see that down here, it's put in there, but they're sitting on top of each other. So use the move, manipulate toolbar to translate it, for example, in X. See that? Oh, I can't cancel this rotation. Cancel. I want to translate it. Translate is this in the X direction, and there's the other guy, or the other way around. Actually, it really doesn't matter which one I translate. It's okay. Let me change the color of that to also green so that it looks like that. Oh, properties, green. Okay, good, good. Now, these can also be moved, so I'm going to move them. So I'm going to move it like that, and I'm going to move it like this. Okay, and the cannon move up because we are about to put constraints on it. So in the Z direction, that'll be the Z direction, right? And there's the pivot. Let me say okay. Excuse me. All right. Now we're ready to apply constraints. So first of all, save everything. Click on the floppy, saves everything. Let's anchor the frame. Anchor the frame like so. See the constraints are being added. When we put the axle inside of that, so coincidence between this axle and that axle, or that axis, this axis and that axis, coincidence between this plane and that plane. And say update. There we are. Do the same thing on the other side. Coincidence between this axis and that axis, and coincidence between, for example, this plane and that plane, and update. Now we make sure that this is symmetrically inserted instead of inside of that. By the way, let's put the pivot first. Coincidence between this plane, this axis, and that axis, and coincidence between this plane and that plane. update. Okay, so let's put make sure that these are symmetric. Coincidence between this middle plane and the middle plane of the frame, and coincidence between. And if you see there is no update, that's because I translated these things, and because I translated them only in the direction X, they haven't lost that movement on the side. Okay, good. So now coincidence between this axis and that axis, update. Same thing on the other side. Coincidence between this axis and that axis. Okay. Now let's place the gun barrel there. So the different ways of doing it. For example, I can okay, before we bring the gun and place it in there so that it's pivoted about that line, let's check and see whether our other constraints are all okay. For I'm going to move these things and then update. These should go back to where they were. But let's not worry about the gun barrel right now. So we have to move, manipulate. Let's do, for example, rotation like that. And for example, a rotation for this axle like this, like so, like so. And let's do a little bit of rotation this way. If I update, these should go back to where they belong. If they don't, we still have a problem here. Oh, by the way, also this pivot. Okay, so if I update, these should go back to where they were, and they do. That's good sign. Now, I'm going to bring this thing down and put it there. And because of the way things are, we have to do a little bit of extra work. So we go to we go to the barrel, which is right here. On that horizontal plane of the barrel, which happens to be XY plane, I will draw for example, a line. Okay, so let's go ahead. A vertical line. So let me draw a vertical line like that. Where's the hole here? Okay. I'll draw a line like this. As I said, there are many ways of doing this thing, but this is what I choose to do. Exit. All right. So there's this line. This line belongs to the barrel, and I can always hide it, but I'll just leave it the way it is. Now, first of all, I want to make sure that the gun barrel is exactly halfway between these, is exactly symmetrically inserted in there. So we go back to the cannon, coincidence that may already be there between the vertical plane of the barrel, and the vertical plane of the frame, for example, and there's nothing update. So it is okay because the way I make things, I use that vertical plane of the barrel in the first place. So it's okay. It's no problem. That condition is unnecessary, but it's okay. Now I'm going to say coincidence between this line. Cancel that. It's hanging there. Coincidence between this line and that axis. And now it should bring it down and place it there. Okay. And if you don't like this line, just hide it. Okay. All the planes, if you don't want them, you know how to do? You say Control F, Control F, find the plane, all the plane, find and select the time. It's all, and then hide it. You can right click, say right click, hide and show, or you can just click on this. They're going to go. If you don't like to see the constraint, put the cursor there, right click, uh, uh, hide. But before I do that, notice that this pivot is is rigidly attached to the gun barrel because that's actually how this thing is supposed to be pivoting. So for that, I use this fix together, the pivot and the gun barrel. And we say, okay, now we can hide all of the constraints. There we are. That's a lot better. Notice that, for example, if I say manipulate, rotate about, for example, this axis. Oops, not that. Try it again. Rotate about this axis. The barrel and the pivot must move together. You see this? And they do. So the drawing that you see in that homework statement is actually this configuration. And I think the dimensions are so that this is not quite, this should be probably longer and etc., but I'm not going to worry about it. And believe me, if you do a crazy rotation and things like that, let's try it. Rotate that, this, like so, like so. You can also do some translations. And if you say update, they should go back to where they belong. And they do. All right, that takes care of this tutorial, or actually this homework. Good luck.